Okay. Now this makes a lot of sense right here. One Piece chapter 1068. So I was right. I said a few chapters back, I was like, yo, it really feels like they're getting ready to turn on Dr. Vegapunk. This man knows too much. The world government's not playing that. And we find out in this chapter that essentially he's like, Luffy, you're getting me the fuck up out of here, man. Like, I can't stay here any longer. And the reason why I can't stay here any longer is because the world government is coming out to get me because I'm trying to take the energy source that powers this big machine that you see right here. And I want to make this machine, the energy that it uses, I want to take it so I can give it out to all the people in the world. Very, very noble. Very good reasoning. However, because he's cracked too much of the truth, the world government's like, this dude's got to go. And sure enough, that's why CP0 was actually there. This is interesting right here. Very interesting. So backing things up a little bit, we open up the chapter where you have the Vegapunks and they're doing the conversations with CP0, and they're basically telling him, like, look, like right now we can't necessarily take you into the island. You see that they're trying to stall for time, and you have a moment where they're like, look, like, how about you just go to one of those Navy ships that are nearby? They'll take you in if you need to drink some tea and relax because you come in from a long mission, but you can't do it here. And Rob Lucci's looking at everything and he's like, okay, they clearly figured us out. And so he just starts asking questions. He's like, so, you know, Vega, like, are you telling me that you don't know anything about the ships that have been disappearing? You know, Cyberpool 5, it went missing. CP7 went missing. CP8 went missing. You sure you wouldn't know anything about this? And you can tell that he's baiting them in order to try and find out exactly how much they know. And anytime you start asking questions like that, you already know the answer. It's just a matter of how far is the person you're asking those questions to, how far are they going to lie to in your face? Because that's going to determine the level of disrespect that you show them back in return. And what ends up happening is we have one of the Vegapunks that was talking to the Straw Hats Lilith, basically going like, look, what are you getting at right here? What are you insinuating? Are you trying to tell us that we've been messing with Cyberpool? You're completely out your mind right here. You need to turn around and get the heck up out of here. And Rob Lucci basically goes, okay, message received. And he's not necessarily saying message received in the sense of like, okay, I'm backing down. He's saying message received as in, I know exactly what I need to know right now. You essentially are behind exactly what I think you're behind. We got to move to eliminate you. And what I like here is that he begins formulating the plan right away. He's like, look, you know, we'll take Esper's power and we'll fly over onto the island. We'll leave the ship behind. That'll be a little bit of a distraction because the moment we start showing any hostility, these sea beasts, they're going to begin raising all type of fuss and they're going to begin destroying these ships like it's a necessary evil. But we're going to that island and essentially CP0 is about to start killing folks. And I like that. And I like how Oda takes the opportunity to shift gears to where you see as Kuma is running around and he's activating his paw, and Dragon looks absolutely shocked. And this is not going to be the last time we see Luffy's dad. I think that much is clear because you're not going to have Kuma leave, especially with all that history that exists with Dragon and Kuma. You're not going to have him leave and Dragon not follow. So it's going to be kind of cool to see Luffy potentially meet his dad later on. Now, we shift over and you got Vegapunk and he's telling Luffy, like, hey, like, I want to make sure that I can give energy to everyone. Think about how many wars have been fought over energy. If I was able to find the energy source that was used to power this giant hunk of machine that you see here, I could just give that out to people. And like Jinbe even says, like, you know, that actually makes sense because we're always at war over energy. And that's almost like a meta reference to how things are in the real world. So I thought that was kind of cool to see that. And for a moment, you see Jinbe and Vegapunk completely on the same page with this. And Vegapunk is very idealistic. And what I like about that is that it does just kind of show you that all these people who make weapons of war, at the end of the day, most of the time when they make these weapons of war, it's usually made with good intentions. And then it's people who get those weapons, in particular governments who get those weapons, and they end up turning them into things that are a perverted usage of what they were intended for. Things that might be meant for protection could end up being used for killing. Things meant for deterrence to violence end up being the things that provoke violence. So I like what Oda's saying here, and I like how Luffy is basically like, you know what? You can come join my crew right now. We'll get you out of here. I got no problem with it because you got a funny shaped head. And it takes me back to Thriller Bark where Luffy's like, okay, Brook, you're a skeleton, you're talking, doesn't seem crazy to me. How about you join my crew? And then he sees all these different zombies and he's like, how about you join my crew? It's running with that running gag right there, but it just kind of goes back to the fact, like, while Luffy didn't say you can join my crew per se, he is saying that, like, I'll take you out of here, because Luffy's looking at it going, this could, worst case be an adventure, best case is I might get a new crewmate. Like, Luffy's looking at it like it's a win-win. I get entertainment and potentially this guy's going to add some type of value as well. And what I like after the fact is that as they begin to start talking, CP0 has essentially made it onto the island. And when Luffy hears it, he's like, CP0, don't you mean CP9? And they get the, ooh, I cannot speak right now. They get the differentiation between what they are and what CP9 is. So CP0 are the ones that only answer to the celestial dragons themselves. And Jimmy's like, look, like, they're above CP9. Whenever they get involved, basically the world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's a world-shaking event. Basically hyping up the fact that CP0 is no thing to play with. And what I like about that is that as they begin to start rummaging through the island and just bodying folks that are getting in their way, we get the Straw Hat's reaction, which obviously you see Usopp, where Usopp is freaking out because Usopp is a coward. However, we see as Vegapunk is basically going like, okay, you got to evacuate the researchers and the workers. You got to send Atlas back to the lab. You see as there's a counterinsurgency strategy being placed onto everything on Egghead right now. And what I like about this is that before Vegapunk leaves, the main Dr. Vegapunk, he tells Luffy like, hey, you need to get Bonnie out of here as well. So you're seeing more of a hint that there's something special about Bonnie, or at least there's more information that Bonnie's going to be used to convey. Obviously, they're not going to leave her laying around defenseless, especially with CP0 likely going to want to assassinate her just because of her ties to Kuma. And we see as Stussy is giving information. She's just kind of trolling Kaku at this point. Like, she's letting Kaku walk into these different traps and everything. Basically like, hey, like, yeah, if you go that way and you cross that line, these explosions happen. Kind of funny to see that. However, when Rob Lucci steps in, Rob Lucci just takes out one of the smaller Vegapunks, the ones that you saw Luffy when he first interacted with, when he and Bonnie got to the island and they had like the clothes and the food and etc. Well, Rob Lucci uses the Six King pistol and just takes it out, and half of the head is exploding, and Rob Lucci's like, oh my god, you survived. However, it's at that moment Luffy and Rob Lucci make eye contact, and this is gonna be so interesting because, like, the last time we saw Luffy versus Rob Lucci, like, Luffy had to go into Gear 3. Luffy's obviously gotten a lot stronger since then. So my question is, like, how much stronger has Rob Lucci gotten? Because, like, obviously if you like leveled up to where you're on CP0 and you answer only to the celestial dragons, then clearly Rob Lucci's gotten stronger. But, like, if we see this man slap boxing with Luffy and Luffy is using Gear 5, it's one of those things where it's like, this is a traditional shonen power creep. I do not like it. However, it's shonen, like, this stuff is gonna happen. I just need a very solid explanation for how in the world Rob Lucci, if Luffy does use Gear 5, how in the world does Rob Lucci even keep up? Because, like, I can't wrap my head around it. However, I also understand, like, you cannot, under any circumstances, just think that the characters stay at the power level that they were when you last saw them. Like, that's something that Naruto fans, in particular the Naruto fans that are reading Boruto, I kind of like blow my head against the wall trying to find a way to explain how characters are actually stronger than they were before, because it's just this whole tendency to be stuck in Naruto Shippuden. So I'm trying to keep an open mind with this, but that's gonna be my chapter question, you guys. How strong do you guys think that Rob Lucci is right now? Do you think Luffy's just gonna like one-tap this dude? That'll be hilarious if that happens. So as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.